Well, good evening and welcome to Inside Leominster. My name is Dean Mazzarella, Mayor for the city. That's our new intro. Great job. Great job. We are broadcasting. There's one typo in there, but you know what? They tried to put it together for tonight, and then there was one spell check that they missed, but I'm going to fix that. But I said, you know what? They did a good job. They spent some time on it, showing off the little drone footage there, and I said, let's go with it. So we'll make sure if you saw it and you notice it, ignore it. It'll get fixed for next week. It's Thursday night. We're live as we are each and every Thursday night. Thanks for joining us. There's our phone number. It's 978-537-7760. Extension 3 is the phone number. As we always do, under the melting snow in the most northern section of the city, just one step below some wonderful ice cream, is the Art Report. Big Art, are you there? After all that, great introduction. He's not there?
Listen to this one. Again, it's happened. I was embarrassed.
What happened?
We're at the Leominster Public Library today,
Mm-hmm.
and I just happened to mention to this lady that Leominster is still a small town, even though it's growing, meaning it's quaint and wonderful library, etc. And we're talking. Next thing you know, she says, I recognize your voice. I know who you are. Something to that effect. And I went, huh? Well, she never misses the show.
Oh, that's good.
And she's a volunteer at the library. Nice woman.
Oh,
and
nice.
I said, you really recognize my voice? She said, oh, yeah. She said, you're good with the songs, too, or something like that.
Yeah, see?
And I said, well, your popularity is starting to grow again, buddy.
It's the art reports, that consistency.
Oh, yeah,
of,
that's what's got them lined up down. It's everyone that sells a TV tonight, they got them turned on. They're listening just to hear me.
They're loading the Winnebagos as we speak, heading down to Best Buy to get their 87-inch
so here's a funny
TV.
little sidelight to my week, I'll have you know.
Yes.
Thursday, I had some pipe issues at the house, so I called a local plumber, Schuster, wonderful guys,
Todd.
clean, great job,
Yeah, Todd.
reasonably priced. That commercial's over. Anyway, they're coming. This was the day of the water main break on Hamilton Street.
Oh, yes.
So I go to bed worrying, I got this, before it leaks, I'm going to fix it. I get up, I get in the shower, and I went, whoops, what's going on? No water.
Oh, yeah.
I goes, oh, no.
Yeah.
Don't tell me my basement's a swimming pool.
No.
I went flying downstairs. Now, that was a sight in itself. From the shower to my basement.
Don't tell me anymore, please.
I don't need to. Visuals will make you sick.
Let me put my glasses on here.
So I'm checking the water here. I'm checking everywhere. It's dry.
Yes.
So I go to Cumberland to get the papers, and I said to the gals, you got low water pressure? She goes, geez, I don't know. Guy turns around and says, I don't have any water. I'm on Wilder Avenue. I said, well, am I glad to hear that? I said, don't get me wrong. I thought it was my water problem. But now it's and then someone else pipes up. Yeah, I have low pressure. I'm over on Rumbrook. I'm over here. I'm over there. So then it dawned on me. I said, we got a water break somewhere in the area.
I posted it. Were you not paying attention to my early morning posts?
Well, I did. That's the first thing I did was go on the computer, and you said good morning, 3 o'clockers, and all that stuff.
Right.
But there was nothing yet.
Well, it didn't happen at that time.
So I sent you a note, and then when I got back, I put it on, and it was up there then.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I pay attention.
All right.
I don't want to get, the pay is too good for this gig.
Well, if you're going to be one of those correspondents,
that's right.
You got to. They expect when they see you at the turnout that you're going to have all of the. Where'd you go? Cumberland's?
Cumberland Farms.
When you get to Cumberland's, there's an expectation that you'll be fully briefed on all the important issues of the city.
Well, this is true.
Yeah.
In fact, Carl called me a couple of weeks ago about the question of an Art Bartlett on a float back in the day. And I had my sister and my cousins researching for me, and we couldn't come up with anything.
Really?
Yeah, we don't know who this Archie Bartlett is, and that's what they used to call my dad. And my grandfather was Jim Bartlett. He was a police officer, by the way, back in the 30s.
Wow. Hey, I got a good question for you.
Yep.
Remember Woody at Woody's Speed Shop?
Sure.
What was Woody's real name?
You had to ask. It was on the tip of my tongue before you said that.
I'll give you, if you think of it, you can call me back.
Woody, oh, goodness gracious.
Woody.
It's an ordinary name, too.
Yes, yes. He was a very good baseball player. And where he got the name was he could really whack a ball, is what they tell me. He could really hit a ball.
Because of the wood bats. Of course, today now they're all metal.
Yep, titanium.
Have you seen the price of bats and gloves lately?
No,
Oh my God!
Look at
mine guy got at Werner's.
The only thing I can afford to do anymore is walk.
Yeah, well, that's good for you.
Well, I'm just saying, everything else is expensive.
Everything is expensive.
Right.
That's for sure.
Every sport is expensive.
It sure is. Especially, at golf. Are you kidding me? Golf balls, $40 a dozen. Luckily, I keep it on the fairway. Outside of that, I have nothing else to report. Thank you, Water Department.
It won't be long. Yes, they did a great job. It won't be long before the golf course is open, and
They were on the computer. The pro shop's now open in Gardner.
there you go.
Next week, they might open the driving range.
And
Soon to follow, brand new carts, and soon to follow the course. And that's where I'll be Monday through Friday.
And we will be planting pansies next week. First around. Nobody plants them. We always get our pansies in the ground first.
Yeah, it's going to be a good year for us this year. I got some ideas.
All right.
We've had some issues, though. We've had people pull up. My neighbor called up a couple of years ago, and we have these beautiful flowers here.
I remember that.
And he says, there's somebody out there cutting down your flowers.
Yeah, I remember that.
I couldn't believe it. If they'd have asked, I would have given them to them.
Of course.
It was too late. They already got some and took off.
Right.
But so it goes. There's nothing you can do about it.
No.
Thank you to that lovely lady at the library today. And
Good.
as usual, everybody there was kind. It was clean. It was nice.
It's a wonderful.
What a wonderful building.
I had a friend that was at the rail trail meeting, and he grew up here and has since moved, and he said what a treasure that library is. And I said, absolutely. And well taken care of.
I sat down in the back room next to the fireplace in a stuffed chair. Told my wife, take all the time you want. I was so comfortable. And I'm just looking around. And then I noticed, I brought her over and I said, I don't know if you can see this, hi, Rita, but the top of City Hall, I never saw that wording up there before.
Cool, huh?
Municipal building or something.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
1915.
So I looked at that for a while.
See?
So those are the things we have to keep in our mind, and it's wonderful to have. Even the columns from the Columbia Hotel that are now at the new bank.
Oh, that's awesome.
You go by there, I always look at those columns, and I think about what could have been and what was.
Yep. And they did a good job.
And that lady, we were talking about the Carbon and the history down there, because it's kind of a pushed off that end of town, the furthest northern spot of, I think, Leominster,
right,
where I grew up. And there's not a lot of history in the history about the Carbon. I've seen pictures of the old buses, but other than that, we were back there, and a lot of history back there.
Well, Mark Bedanza's writing a story, writing a book about the story of the city.
I can't wait to get it. I've got all his books already. Every time he writes one, I get it.
So, did you see today? I had posted because I've always wondered what happened to this guy Valerie Gogin.
I saw that with the flag.
Yeah, so that was it went to the Supreme Court. So I wasn't looking to start any controversy or anything. I always wondered what happened to this guy. Like, I Googled him, and I thought, I'll Google him. Maybe he's got a Facebook account. It's 45 years later. March 25th is 45 years after the Supreme Court. This case went to the Supreme Court, which he won. But I'm thinking to myself, where is this guy? I mean, did he move away? Did he move to another state or another country? Whatever happened? He never left. He's been.
There you go.
He's been here, and so and just a remarkable story as it sort of builds on social media and Facebook. Just a remarkable story about some of the things that we didn't know about.
Well, that's another thing about Facebook that is wonderful is you can locate. I have located a number of people, pardon me, from the Carbine, and I'm arranging through them. The minute they start the first cruise night at Kimball's,
it's like a reunion
meet down there and have a little reunion.
It's like a reunion. There you go.
I got to get my buddy to bring his '55 Chevy, and it'll be great.
Well, we'll be down there this year.
Oh, it's fun. Yeah, it's a good take. But I won't tie you up anymore, buddy.
Over and out.
Later.
You're watching Inside Leominster. That was the art report. Ice cream places will be opening soon. Rada Farms in whatever that is, Sterling or West Boylston or Bolton or Berlin, whatever it is out there is open, and I'm sure the rest will follow suit. And yes, we're live tonight, and D. Mazzarella at leominster-ma.gov. If you want to just email a question, you can call us. You can leave the question with whoever answers the phone if you don't want to come on live. But either way, you can call us at 978-537-7760 and extension 3. But either way, get your questions out there. We'll be glad to answer them. Taking a short break, and we'll be right back.
Uno.
Hey! We have a little citation for you. I watched them in here in anticipation, peek through the windows when they're in here working, and they were in here day and night getting the place ready, and they're really excited about it. It came out so nice, and you know, we're trying to, as I was saying to just a couple of minutes ago, we were talking about how we're trying to get more shops downtown, more people to come down. We have a lot of financial institutions and places to make you beautiful. We're a beautiful city. Everybody's beautiful here. And so, but we needed more shops. And then when we saw this, we all got excited. So anyway, welcome. Did a great job. Congratulations. We're excited for you. And we have a little citation thanking you for investing in our city and choosing this space.
That's beautiful. Thank you for taking the time to come out here and make this special day so special for all of us.
So you got a little bit of time on our Access TV. So talk a little bit about, I know you know, about your prior history and what brought you here, and a little bit about what we see here today.
All right. Well, when I was a child, being in an Italian cultured family, my parents came from Italy, got married, and they made roots here in Massachusetts. And when I was 9 years old, we decided to all move to Italy. And we moved into a beautiful villa that's posted up on the wall. It was an 18-room villa, and it was fully furnished. And this is some of the furnishings that was in that villa from my parents.
So is that how it happened? Like one weekend you're sitting around the picnic table and you're like, hey, let's just move to Italy.
Yeah, basically that's what my parents, you know, out of the blues, they just said, you know, let's just move to Italy. I was okay.
That's good.
I was 9 years old. My sister was young, just like us. You know, it was a big adventure for us to, as kids. We had a beautiful adventure, you know, and we moved to Italy into this beautiful home, and we got this furniture, and then, of course, being who we are, we moved back here because our roots were here in New England. So we decided to move back, and all came the furniture with us. And we've had this furniture in the family since then. And it was put in storage for a good 4 or 5 years. And it's in mint condition, as you can see. But it was time for it to get out of storage and to go to a family that can really appreciate the beauty and the value of this furniture. So this is when I decided to put Italian Treasures together, and because I love my culture, I wanted to bring in all imported goods.
And she did a great job. That's Italian Treasures, 18 Main Street. It used to be the old Yours Truly. And then it was the Chicks dress shop. They've moved over to the other side of the street over there on Main Street, 49 Main Street. And so they did a beautiful job in there, and if you get a chance, please stop by. So we cut the ribbon. So we're going to move on now, because one of the things that people enjoy, and we get lots of feedback on, is history, the history of Leominster. There is no end to the fascination of history and for history here in the city. And there's never a day, I think, that somebody doesn't either make a phone call to City Hall or the Historic Society or the Commission and says, hey, I was going through a bunch of documents, going through some boxes, and lo and behold, I found some things that I think are pretty interesting. So tonight, Ron Gerard, Leominster Historic Commission, Mary Murata, Director of the Leominster Historic Society, and Mike Kerrigan, Leominster Historic Commission, are all with us to talk about some really fun things. And they're going to be promoting their new cable show here at LTV called This Month in Leominster History.
That's correct.
And so there's so much that this is a great way to sort of communicate with everybody as to what was it like being here 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years ago here in the city, and prior to that, the town of Leominster. And we just keep coming up. Somebody had posted something the other day on Facebook about Foster Grant. Now, I haven't seen a whole lot of pictures from Foster Grant, but somewhere in these little boxes, somewhere hidden, right, beneath people's basements or in attics, are all kinds of really cool things about the city.
Yeah.
So when does the show start?
April 1st. Mary and I, we filmed our first episode.
I heard.
I did all the post editing.
What are you making? Provolone cheese or something? What are you making?
Yeah.
Making pizza?
I'm
or
thinking
something?
about pizza because we just did the pizza crawl.
Yes, we
and,
did.
And we did the.
I'm a proud
We
person.
documented CNN Pizza's 50th year. Mary and I.
You
and
went
we
out there like 4 in the morning to make pizza?
Actually, 6:30 in the morning.
To make pizza?
To
Yeah.
make pizza from
Put
start
eggs
to
on it?
finish.
No, we didn't have just pepperoni. Yep.
Pepperoni at 5:30 in the morning.
5:30 in the morning. Yes.
Yeah.
Mike, that's a tough one. That's a cast iron stomach. If you can eat pepperoni at that time of
Oh
morning.
yeah, but it
6:30
was
in the
awesome
morning,
coming out of the
quarter
oven.
after.
You could see the pizza crackling, and you could hear all the pepperoni bubbling right up like that. And the best part is I got to eat a piece. Mary did. It was like awesome, you know. It was the best pizza in the world. I thought he died and went to heaven.
Well, I can tell you my first experience with eating late nights
Yes.
was at the Red Checker. Larry Janakis owned the Red Checker.
Yep.
You know where that was? On
Yep.
Hamilton Street. And so it was my first night shift at the police department. So when you first start, they kind of move you all over, different shifts, different people. So after it slowed down around 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, there was no other place to go. Nobody's really open at that time. That's 1983, 1982. And so, you know, car by car would go in and get breakfast at Red Checker. But it wasn't breakfast. It was, you know, everybody's. Now remember, some of these people have been on the midnight shift for 20 years, so this
Yeah.
is not to them. This is dinner.
Yep.
So we went in and everybody ordered salads, and if they had get salads, so they ordered extra pepperoncinis, and I'm thinking, you know, just go with the flow, right?
I worked there.
And I
Yeah.
ate the pepperoncinis. I ate the salad and I ate the pepperoncinis, and then I never ate another pepperoni in my life. Right around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, I was ready to go to the emergency room. It was the worst experience. I thought I was going to die.
Yeah.
That's
right,
it.
right.
It's some people are just programmed to that midnight to 8 shift. And for them, they can eat anything. And after that, all I ate was like bran muffins and tea for the rest of my career on the police department.
Yeah, I'm the same because I was working third shift for many, many years, and your body just doesn't want to adjust back to the
Yeah, but
old
some
way.
people are really good at it. I
Yeah.
mean, they just stay up. They don't have any trouble. They stay up till 11, 12, and then, you know, sometimes until afternoon and function perfectly.
Yep.
Yeah.
They eat, you know, steak at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, pasta.
Oh, I
Not
like
me.
pizza for breakfast. Pizza for
Tacos.
breakfast is great.
I know, but
because
that's
you have
not bad.
all day to
Yeah, but I'm
to-
talking
to
about
en-
3
to
and 4
enjoy
in the morning.
They age a lot faster too, I noticed. I worked for a paper mill for 31 years.
Yeah.
And the mill veterans that were in there for 40 years, they worked the night shift for, you know, at least 35 years.
Yeah.
And if this guy was 61 years old, he looked like he was 71.
Right.
Yeah.
Sad, but that's what happens.
Yeah, no, that's it. I didn't mean to drive away from it, but when you started talking about
No, it's okay.
having pizza for breakfast.
pizza for breakfast. After that, like I said, I had like bran muffin and tea. That's it. That's as far as I could get. I was ruined.
Yep.
They were eating those pepperoncinis like they were, you know, candy. They just kept popping them in, and I'm thinking, well, I guess that's what you're doing, you know, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't handle
When
it.
in Rome. All right, so what's happening? What are we going to see on this show? What kinds of things? So your first episode is 55 years making pizza at CNN Pizza.
Well, that was just
Yep.
that was just what we filmed this past week. But getting back to the our overall calendar show, it's called This Month in Leominster History.
Right.
It's based on a Mike Kerrigan research project. About 6 months ago or so, we started doing. Mike got the idea through the calendar that you have right there in front of you, and about putting in calendar dates on our Facebook page. And then I thought, I got the idea is, well, instead of putting calendar dates, well, why don't I put together in a slide presentation with some video and some information and background music. And we've been putting them up, and the response has been so overwhelming that I asked Mary Murata from the Leominster Historical Society, well, how do you feel about coming on TV with me and producing a show called This Month in Leominster History? And as they say, the rest is history, because here we are, and we're putting a show together, I get together, and bringing out the calendar events of each month, the date that happened,
Right.
each month in his history.
So want to hear something really neat? You know what the city's motto is?
Yes.
We must, we can,
I have it
we will.
right here.
We
We're
will
going
be
to talk
free.
about that in a minute.
And so here it is, Thursday, right? Oh,
Yeah.
anyway. In 1766, they sent that motto to the State House.
Right,
Yeah.
right, but
That's pretty interesting.
But we
is.
in our
got it in
calendar,
there.
I got it in our calendar for April. I could read a little bit off, and I actually have a video clip of Mary and I reading the poem. If they want to show that video, I'll show. First, I'll read the date. The date says April 14th, 1975. Leominster City Council adopts the city motto: "We can, we must, we will be free." And and Mary, tell Dean about how you did the research on it.
I will. I was actually able to find the speech that was written in 1766 that was sent from Leominster to Boston to tell the people in Boston that the Leominster people were behind them in opposing British tyranny, like the Stamp Act and so forth. And the very last line of that speech was, "We must, we can, and we
That's
will
pretty
be free."
significant, that motto, huh?
Yes, it is. It's great fun, and it's really neat to be able to find the actual speech that it came from and share
Right,
it.
right. And so Mary and I, as we going over these calendar events, we were reading each line, the poem that was actually written, paragraph and paragraph, taking turns.
Yeah.
And then we get to the last paragraph, we timed it out perfectly where we read it off together, and then we gave each other a high five afterwards, because it
was a highlight of the
for
show.
me to be doing this,
Like
it was a
eating
highlight of the
pepperoncinis
show.
at 3 in the
but
morning.
we actually had that video. I don't know if they want to show it or not.
Hey, listen to this, right?
Go
Now,
ahead.
this is pretty historic. April 1st, 1915, artist Zygmunt A. Orbs was born in Clinton, Massachusetts, but he was a resident and the person that is best remembered for
The portraits of
all the
mayors.
portraits
That's
of all the
correct.
mayors.
mayors.
And he didn't make it to me. I mean, I think he ended prior to me, but I believe he did every mayor prior to me. That's a lot of portraits. That's like 17 or so.
And again, Mary did
portraits.
some more research and found out he not only did the mayors in Leominster, but he was right with the Detroit. He did it. It was a clay.
He was a clay modeler
Was he really?
for
That's
GM
right. Yeah.
for his
So he did, like,
career.
prototypes.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
kind of like Louis Charpentier did
Yeah.
prototypes for
Yeah.
the plastic business.
Exactly.
And is there other information you found out about him? And I mean, did he do other clay pieces that are maybe in circulation right now somewhere?
Not that we're aware
No?
of. That was his job. But we do know that he has two portraits. I think they're at the City Hall. One is Henry Sawtelle, the first mayor, and one is you, Mayor Dean. And they're done in as a sketch, pencil sketches, and they're really, really nice. That's kind of interesting to see them together.
He didn't do mine. Louis Charpentier did mine.
Yeah?
Yeah, there was like
Okay.
5 people that took a shot, that just kept coming in to try. I'm not
Oh.
a person to be done. I guess it wasn't meant for me to be on the wall there. But I just wondered whether or not, and he also did Stiff Pacousi, State Rep Pacousi. He
Okay.
also did him.
Ah.
But so I wasn't sure if maybe some of that sculpturing that he did,
Yeah.
that model, the clay modeling that
Right.
he did, might still be around. Is any of his family still around? Does anybody know? See, there's a question for Facebook,
There's
right?
always more questions.
Yeah, no, I mean maybe there's,
Tried
there's
one with Sawtelle's family, even the first mayor.
right.
And we were trying to do something with his family headstone, and we couldn't do it, of course, without permission from the
Right.
family. And nobody from Leominster, I think it was from Bolton, born in Bolton.
Mm-hmm.
So Bolton, Leominster area, no one has responded saying that they are directly related to
Really?
the first mayor of Leominster.
Oh,
So
Oh.
him and his wife never had any children.
oh, well, that might be
That's part of the reason,
obviously.
But he had brothers and sisters maybe, or she did, and somebody out there. There's
Yeah.
always somebody out there.
There is.
Right? 978-537-7760, extension 3 is the number to call. And we're talking about a new show that'll be coming here on LTV, and it'll be called This Month in Leominster History. And Ron Gerard will be working on it, Mary Marauder and Mike Kerrigan, and there's just so much. At some point, you have to decide what makes it, right? what sounds interesting to people that maybe things they've never heard about.
Well, here's one they probably don't remember. April 3rd, 1757.
happened?
Gershom, how do you pronounce that, Mary, so I don't mess up?
Houghton
Houghton dies at
first-
the age of 66.
First family of
In
Leominster.
1725, he
settler.
became the first settler in Leominster. Now that's very significant. Can you imagine coming into your town or city and be the very first one to settle the settlement there? Wow, I'd be very special to be the first one.
Right.
You
That
know?
piece of glass from their house is still at the Historic Society.
That's
Yeah.
what yes.
And they name Houghton Court
Mm-hmm.
after the Houghtons.
I
Yes.
just want to let people know out there, I have a little problem pronouncing words, so Mary's been
It's
wonderful
okay.
helping me a little
This
bit.
is not a test at Lancaster Street School. Right?
I know we went to
It's
school
all
together.
English.
So,
We went to school together.
But they understand that. But I do an awesome job at everything I do anyway. So,
You do.
You know. But I don't know what else you want to talk about. Mike, what did you bring with us? For
Mike, let me
artifacts?
let me ask you a quick question, right? I mean, you've been doing this stuff for a while.
Yes.
The famine, and I mean, just the flu epidemic.
Flu epidemic,
What's if I had to say, listen, I'm going to give you, $5,000 donation to the Historic Commission.
Yes.
But you got to tell me the most interesting thing that you've come across in Leominster history.
Sure.
It would be what?
Well, there's actually a couple, but one has to do with Petty Officer Cousins.
Yes, tell us
He
that
was,
story.
that was absolutely amazing. I explained it to Mary today.
Yep.
And he was torpedoed on a U.S. naval destroyer. He was from Leominster, and he was on a U.S. naval destroyer. And on Halloween night, he got torpedoed by a German U-boat. And this was 6 weeks before Pearl Harbor.
Wow.
And in addition, you may not believe this, but it's historically fact, there was a guy from Fitchburg on the same destroyer,
I
the
heard
Reuben
this story.
James.
I didn't
The
know if
name-
that was true, though. That's
Forrest.
true.
The name was Forrest.
And you got those? Did you actually see their military records? And
I
it's
tracked
so-
down the families, yes.
And that's where the stories come from.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Vegas odds of that happening, what do you think? Maybe 75,000 to 1?
Probably more than that. That's
Yeah.
just incredible.
Two guys from one Fitchburg, one Leominster, and they had the rivalry back then in
Right.
1941.
Right,
and
right.
These guys, and then I was asking John Peretti, who's a Navy man from World War II. I said maybe they went in on the buddy system. Maybe
Right,
he
they
knew,
did-
but no,
they
there was
didn't.
like a
It's just a coincidence.
18-year age difference, and then come to find out, Cousins had been in the U.S. Navy, World War I. He got discharged, and then they brought him back into service, I think, in 1935, as the threat of war started to loom over in Europe. They said, we need veterans out there on the high seas.
Yeah.
That's
So
incredible.
Cousins got it.
What a story.
So
Yeah.
his ship, the Reuben James, went down in 7 minutes. He
Didn't
got
even have
killed.
a chance.
Yeah, this is part of the reason why I decided to start this calendar, Mayor. Part of the reason is this is another major reference point was from the Veterans Dedication
Right.
from 7 years ago. And you start these Leominster guys that went into the U.S. Navy during World War II, and their ship got torpedoed by a Japanese submarine or blown out of the water by a battleship.
Right.
And when you're in 12,000 feet of water,
That's
they're
it.
not going to find
Yeah.
you. It's so sad.
Yeah, it's
and
very sad.
I just think that the family
Young
should-
kids.
young kids, 20 years old. So I feel that maybe several of these veterans should be put on the calendar and just say, look, you gave
Tell
the
their
ultimate,
story. right?
ultimate sacrifice.
Yeah.
And another gentleman fought on Iwo Jima, another one Okinawa. I mean, these were big battles of the Second World War. And I also did the same with the Duffy family, Vietnam. You're probably aware that he was the first Leominster
Yes.
casualty out of the Vietnam era.
Right.
December 31st, 1965.
It's incredible.
And we did this. Legay is another one. Corporal Legay is another favorite
Oh, yeah.
topic because when he was machine gunned in the elbow, he was taken POW by the North Koreans at the height of the war. As you know, in November of 1950, the North Koreans and Red Chinese counterattacked. So, make a long story
His
short.
wife is still around.
Yes, she is. Yes.
She's still around.
Yes.
He used to read a poem at Memorial Day of the year for us. And I've got to get that from his wife. It was by the unknown soldier sort of thing. And yeah, he was one of the POWs of Leominster.
So he got machine gun. He was incapacitated, and the Koreans took him POW, and they brought him up by the Chinese border, and he was a POW for 2 years. They tried to brainwash him like that TV show there.
I know him. That wasn't going to work on him.
You know, they tried it anyway.
Yeah, just
so,
a waste of time. Wasn't going to work on him.
So finally, like the North Koreans, they realized after the third year of the war, maybe we should show the United Nations that we're not playing total games. So they agreed to release like 100 prisoners, POWs. Legay was one of the first. So now Life magazine gets the story that, you know, this is going to be the first POW exchange. So they started to follow Legay from Tokyo all the way to San
didn't know this
Francisco,
part.
and then finally to Hall Street in Leominster.
I didn't know that. Do you have a copy of that?
I'm sure we got one in the office, but I
Well, if you
remember-
ever come across, maybe I can just Google it and find it there. But I didn't know that piece of it.
Yeah, he was
Maybe
a
his
very-
wife has it. I'm sure his wife has a copy.
his Life magazine ran a very big article on
Life
it.
magazine.
And they had, what was that, May 17th, 1953. They had the parade for him, and of course Life magazine had to be there for the
Really?
coverage of
I
that.
don't remember this part.
Yeah, and as I put in my article about Legay, I said, I think only at that time an autographed baseball from Ted Williams might have been of equal value. So if
was a
Legay
big
was
deal.
making
It
out
was a
an
big deal.
autograph, you know, you knew you had something to bite on. You know,
That was a big deal.
yes. So he was a very big hero for Leominster for many years, and you know, it was just absolutely. And then I also believe he served in Vietnam as well.
I think that's the case.
Yeah, and he
What
just
a
said it
guy.
was two different
Yeah,
types of
yeah,
warfare. But
well,
yeah, so Legay
sure.
Legay and Cousins were the two big. The chances of this starting with Life magazine, and you know, because Life magazine at that time was the biggest
Sure,
periodical
absolutely.
in the U.S.,
Yeah.
probably even in the world. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how
Look
far it
magazine,
went.
Look
Life
and Life,
magazine.
yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
And we've had some people from Leominster in Look magazine.
Yeah?
In fact, a photographer named Fusco was a photographer for Look magazine.
Yeah, I recognize that name,
Family
Fusco.
from 6th Street.
Yep.
A lot of
But this-
musicians that came from the Fusco family.
So there are many Leominster families that are being remembered.
A lot of
perpetual
stories.
memory, and this is all documented by the veterans, and I'm putting it in. And you know, if this family, you know, lost someone 75 years ago.
Right.
or,
You're bringing them back to
going
life,
in.
right? Making sure their memory isn't forgotten.
Yeah.
That's the important thing, right?
Yeah,
That these
finding
were
the-
young
finding the
kids
people and
out of
telling
high
their
school. We had the
stories.
Vietnam veterans at the high school today as part of that same legacy program.
Yes.
Rich Early was there to moderate it. And, you know, as he said, you know, 50 years ago, you know, the same people that he was looking out at in the audience at the high school were a lot of the same people that were getting drafted at that same age. And I'm sure those kids sitting there today listening were thinking, wow, imagine if I, you know, got a letter when I went home today saying, you got to come to war. Imagine that. I mean, that's, you know, they're getting letters of acceptance to colleges and everything else. You know, it's just, like you said, it's a different world.
Yeah.
And so, Mary, what are some of the interesting sort of things as you go through these, some of the interesting ones that you've...
Well, we're talking about the people of Leominster, and so we're definitely getting some real good stories about some interesting people that you never
Right.
thought or you heard of, or maybe we hear more, find out more. Florence Wheeler, we know that she found the
birth
genealogy, so that in our in our April calendar, she got an award from the Ohio Historical Society in April, and that gave us a chance to go back, and we found a beautiful photograph of her when she graduated from high school, and then her photograph from when she retired from being a librarian for 50 years.
And she found the
what a
birth
beautiful
certificate
lady.
for Johnny Appleseed.
Yes. Yep. So she was famous for that, and if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't be talking about Johnny Appleseed
Right.
being born in Leominster.
Yeah, nobody would know.
We have a painter, a lady called Luann Hume, who was called the Birch Tree Lady, and she did beautiful paintings of birch
She had a
trees.
studio in Kennebunkport.
Yep, exactly. And then we talked a little bit about Mary O'Toole, who was the first postmistress.
Yeah, imagine that. That was
And,
unusual.
You know, breaking the barriers
Sure
in
was.
1935.
Amazing.
You know.
Good stuff.
And I referenced kind of jokingly, I'm sure she didn't get paid the same rate as the guys did back then either.
I don't think anybody was making too much money, no matter who you were at
No.
that time. probably 60 cents an hour, right, Mike? I don't, 1935 or whatever it was. There
Yeah,
were-
the
nobody was
depression
making.
was still lingering.
Yeah, there was nobody making money.
Another interesting one I came across was April 5th, 1992, one of my favorites. Rubin Clothing Store closes after
Yeah.
decades of business in downtown Leominster. Lee Rubin, the original owner of the clothing store. Now, what I found is interesting about Mrs. Lee Rubin, you probably knew her too as well as I did, because we used to go in there as kids
Tootsie
get
Rolls,
clothes,
right.
Tootsie Roll, and I referenced how she got the being called the Tootsie Roll lady. But in addition to that, she not only did the store, she was a very generous lady.
Right.
She donated her time to the community as well as her money.
Yeah.
And a lot of scholarships were set up into her name, and so we referenced all that in our timeline. So it was pretty interesting.
Once I did a talk on the woman entrepreneurs in Leominster. Mrs. Epstein at Economy Paint.
Oh, yeah?
Her husband went off to war, and she ran. I mean, they had 4 or 5 different stores in Worcester and Shrewsbury and Fitchburg, Leominster. I mean, had them all over the place, and all the different, sort of ladies that we're talking about breaking the barriers.
Yeah.
Ruth Lee. I mean, a whole lot of names that were synonymous with local. Mom and pop business, and these weren't just local, mom and pops. These were thriving businesses.
Right, right.
And it was pretty interesting.
And what's nice about doing this, the show itself is fun and it's educational, and people don't realize that when they're watching it, that they're getting an education about the events and the people who made our city up. Towards the end of the broadcast, we have an artifact on the table, huh, Mary? And then we don't explain to the audience what it is until after the show's almost all done. And this particular month, we had the stereoscope, is that what you call it, right? We had 2 stereoscopes on there with the Edmund Davis slides from the 1840s and 50s time frame, and we were demonstrating how they
People would look
operate.
at the pictures.
Yeah, so, and I just scanned them all this past week for the society, so they were really cool scanning them and seeing what Leominster looked like back in 1840 and 1850.
And how they would have seen it.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, how about this guy, S. Wellesley Hines? He purchased Pigeon Swamp Road
Along the Fitchburg Airport.
Yeah.
right? That was
Wesley-
April 30th, 1924.
Yeah, we have a photograph of him because he was a World War I flying ace.
Really?
No, yeah, and we have a cool photograph of him in his leather helmet, and he's a really sweet looking. I guess he got to be an architect after that too, from what I read.
April 7th, 1806, new school ward opens on Birch Street. Now that building's still there. Is that brick building on Birch Street?
Yeah, I believe so, yes.
I think it is. This is schoolhouse number 2.
Yeah.
Grades 1 and 6.
And look
1
how
through
early
6.
the date is for us to be opening our second school.
It's incredible. 1806.
Yeah.
Let's see. Leominster City Council approves the name of the Leominster DPW Public Works.
And Mary, you had something to add on that timeline, didn't you? You were explaining about the history behind that.
Behind the.
With their goal, their mission.
Oh yeah, I found their mission statement in the. I Google things and I found their mission statement. It was really interesting to read it aloud to everybody, improving the quality of life in Leominster.
They had little sound bites then too, right?
Yeah,
Improving
definitely.
the quality of life.
Life in Leominster.
Then they just let it die for a while, and then they brought it back recently.
Well, what's great about all this, the history calendar dates, Dean, and people out there watching it, is working alongside of the society now and with the Historical Commission and with the people of Leominster that's been helping us out. We've been uncovering a lot of photographs that a lot of people have never seen before.
Sure.
And when we typically put them up on social media, the response has been overwhelming.
Right.
So when I can find a really old event and I can match it up with the event with the photograph and the history, it's been really great.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes even
This is
video.
research.
Yeah.
How about this one? April 10th, 1929. Leominster Junior High School presents the operetta Penny Buns and Roses.
Penny buns and roses.
How
Isn't
classic.
that lovely? That was junior high?
Yeah, imagine that.
That was I had to look that one up. That was a 1-act, 1-scene fantasy play.
Was that the Shakespeare?
No,
that was the other one.
That was the high school who
Yeah, okay.
managed the
Hey, April
Shakespeare.
2nd, you know what was significant about that in 1898? Bobo's Market opened.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's still open.
Yes, 113 years.
Just incredible.
Yeah. Imagine,
121.
Talk
21,
about longevity.
21,
And so if you're, this is Thursday night, the 21st of March. If you're around a TV set or your phone or whatever, the Boston, the TV show Chronicle on Channel 5 will be doing a story on longevity tomorrow night.
Oh.
That's their feature, is longevity. So if you have a chance to watch it, or I don't know if they put it up on demand if you can't watch it, but you can watch it through your phone. It's streaming. You can watch it on TV. And 7:30 tomorrow night, which would be Friday, March 22nd. So it's also a good night to go get fish down at St. Anna's.
It is.
You know, that little commercial. We are just about 19 minutes left here at Inside Leominster. My name is Dean Mazzarella. I'm the mayor for the city, and every week we sort of pull as much information as we can. We invite guests in on that we think you'll be interesting. We put the information together that we hear from you, from a variety of different sources, and then we try to bring you up to speed on what's going on. The pizza crawl, I tell you, I never could have dreamt that this could have been this successful.
Really?
I don't know how many tickets we sold, but we met so many nice people out at the pizza crawl, and we had a great time. We all got a chance to talk. I mean, it's a good icebreaker, right? What's a better thing to talk about than pizza? Some people got to all 11 pizza places, but the last day to vote for your favorite pizza, you can only pick one. Your favorite pizza place. It has to be in by tomorrow, which will be, again, Friday, March 22nd. So stop by our office. We have a little box there. You can pop in the box. And we didn't make it to all of them, but we did make it to several, and we had a good time. And again, we met a lot of nice new people in town that some been here for a while, some relatively new, but it was a fun event. It was
great.
event. And tomorrow, coming up, let me just get my schedule here because tomorrow is the grand opening of You Can Paint Art Studio, and they're on the top floor at the May A. Gallagher building. And let's see if I get any information on that. I'll look a little, when we go to a commercial, I'll look. But anyway, it's coming up tomorrow at, I can look on my phone later on my schedule. But anyway, they're coming up. So they're right upstairs on the top of the floor of the Gallagher building. She's done a great job. And she's going to be doing these paint nights and art exhibits and independent studies and all kinds of neat things up there. So we'll be doing that grand opening tomorrow.
Cool.
We are, let's see, hang on there. I'm going to do some, are you guys ready for photos of the week?
Sure.
All right, let's see. Let's go to the future. Let's zip ahead to the future. I just have to make sure I get these in because if they pile up, they become like old news. Here we go. Oh, something happened. Here we go. The art show this year. This is students from Leominster who go to wherever schools, but they're from Leominster. So they can go to parochial schools or private schools. Anyway, this is the art show. We've done this for several years. This particular show was probably the most attended. It was right away. I mean, like things started at 6 o'clock at night last week on Tuesday, I think, and right away the place was full, right, Ronnie?
Yeah.
The place was packed. And speaking of Luann Hume, there is an exhibit of some of the work that she did, but also what she did is when she began to become ill, she donated. She wanted to make sure that her art supplies, easels and pastels and all her equipment was donated back to students. And so what you see there is the work that the students did with her materials and supplies.
Wonderful.
And so nobody could do birch like Luann. She just loved it. I said, Luann, everything you do, she said, I just can't pass. I can't pass a birch scene without pulling over and beginning to turn it into a sketch. So
It's so New England.
this was a tribute to Luann. It is, and she just loved it. And she just said, I said, don't all those birch trees eventually just look like birch trees? And I know somebody that's out back there saying,
And this
what?
is what's great about these calendar days, getting the information out there.
Right.
People could say, well, wow, I didn't realize that person had to do
Right.
with Leominster,
And instead of hitting them with so much information,
Yeah.
you're hitting them with sort of, you're subjecting them and you're sort of putting it out in little bites so they can sort of retain it, right? You have a better chance of retaining it. And there we are, Ron. I wasn't there at 4:30 in the morning, but there we are at C&M Pizza. 55 years. I got to tell you, no matter what function or activity or event we have going on in Leominster, they're right there. They give Student of the Month pizza to the kids, Student of the Month. I can't say enough about them. Congratulations. 55 years, C&M Pizza.
Very generous and traditional pizza.
That's right. Oh man, that Hamburg pizza. That's good stuff.
Yep.
And there's Paul Laura, and every year he puts this band together for us. It's an Irish band, and he plays at the senior center, and we sponsor him and every year. And the interesting thing is, Paul used to have two places he played. He played with us, and he also played at the senior center in Fitchburg. Well, now he's in such demand because they are a good band. They do a great job, and he's absolutely hilarious. So it's a little bit of comedy with the band, and great music. And so now he has like a list of places, and next year I'm sure it'll be an agent. And here we are. This is the Rail Trail meeting. Was unbelievable. I mean, it was the capacity. All the people that showed up to support. So there's MassDOT explaining the scope of the project, and then elected officials were allowed to get up and sort of show their support. And then after that was the general public and different interest groups. But well on our way of getting that project underway.
That's very popular.
It is. And there's some more of the senior center going green, and they had just had their dinner supplied by Life Care Center up on West Street. Does a great job. They're there. I don't care what event, again, we have. They're there making breakfast for the veterans, and they do a really good job. I can't thank them enough. Thank you. Here we are at the rear of the fire station. So the rear entrance of the fire station has been torn out. It's going to be rebuilt, and when you walk in, you're going to see the old tub fire equipment there. And this is being done by the DPW. Did all the, ripped it out, and McKinsey Engineering did the engineering work and the design. And there they are today pouring the concrete for the retaining wall. So spring has sprung.
Yep.
Well, there it is. There's the new phones, finally. So what was happening towards the end is we were having to salvage parts and, get on like really strange sites to try to, electronic geeky sites to see if anybody had parts to the old phones. And I don't know if you have a picture of my old phone, but we have 2 screws, 2.5-inch screws holding it up.
Facebook.
And the other funny part was that towards the last year or so, no matter what extension you pushed, you never got the extension you wanted. You either got my office or you got somebody else. Sometimes I don't even know who it was that I got. Anyway, we got a new phone system in. It's voice over the internet, and so it's much better, more efficient, and better for the customers. These are new emergency call boxes that are at our fire stations. This one's at Central Fire Station, and this has a video capacity. It also has it's sort of like a phone system. And you can't imagine how many times people pull up to a fire station at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and start banging on doors or whatever. And sometimes people get sick and think they can make it to the hospital, start driving themselves there. One night they delivered a baby in Engine 3. And these people pull up, and it's, they just couldn't make it to the hospital. It was only another 2 minutes away, but, they start pounding on the doors, and maybe somebody doesn't hear, maybe they're banging on the wrong door. So these boxes are there for that exact reason.
Good
so
idea.
we're really thrilled about that. And here we are today. Sunrise Assisted Living, another great community partner. And they had purchased on the right-hand side, that's their new bus. And they donated their older bus, and I shouldn't say older because it only had 55,000 miles on it, mostly local. It was in great shape, and they donated it to emergency management. But there you see not only folks from emergency management, Councilor Frieda, former Councilor Lanciani, but you see police and fire departments there as well as emergency management. And the reason is we work as a team, and that particular vehicle will be shared for a number of reasons, to transport firefighters from the fire station to a fire, to a forest fire, to take victims from a fire rather than having them sit out on the curb and watch their house burn with little kids. We can transport them to emergency management. So there are 1,001 good reasons. Sometimes we're taking businesses for tours. So there's 1,000,001, 1,000 different reasons why this is going to be helpful. So we want to thank our friends down there at Sunrise Assisted Living for a generous donation. They could have traded that in towards the new one and got a substantial amount of money in that trade-in. That thing is in great shape. And then emergency management took it and restored it until like it's brand new. It's got lights on it, and they cleaned it all out. It put all those, removed all the old decals, and then in the back it says thank you to Sunrise Assisted Living. So we thank them. There they are today. There's our own Lieutenant Colonel Bob. He works at City Hall. He's retired. He comes in to help us out, and there they are today educating the students on and keeping the legacy going. And today the topic was Vietnam. and did a great job. Richard Early was the moderator, and it was really, they started from the very beginning, and they held nothing back politically. They told the story as they know it, and great job. We were very proud of them. There we are, tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m., City of Leominster on Chronicle. And so, pretty excited. So that's our photo of the week.
Wee-hoo.
Isn't that pretty neat?
Yeah.
So get your popcorn ready.
Absolutely.
I have no clue what's going to be on it, but they are going to do a segment on Sally's Barbershop.
Yeah.
And because of the longevity part, so they're gonna do Sally's. And I didn't get a chance. Let me just look this up because I was going to tell you what was going on. Tomorrow is the grand opening of. So Artist and Hue ribbon cutting will be at 3 o'clock tomorrow. We also have a ribbon cutting at 10 a.m. at Z&G Transportation at 67 North Main Street. And then, so...
We're doing pretty good.
We're cranking here. And, historically, we'll be able to look back in modern day history and talk about the renaissance of the city, but how many... we thought at one time it was over for small mom and pop businesses. You would never see another Ruth Lee's, or you would never see another shoe store in Leominster. You would never see restaurants. I remember people in early days of my office saying, there will be no more coffee shops in Leominster. All these big national chains are going to come in, and there won't be any more local restaurants. There are more local restaurants now than there probably ever were. There are more small startups than there ever were. And I wish Rubens was around when I had the ability to buy it, because I would have bought it just for the nostalgia part of it all.
It's funny.
So they're all coming back, these businesses.
It's funny you talk about all that, because a while back ago I was looking through our archives of photographs, and I found some photographs. I think it could have been the 70s or late 60s. But it was downtown Leominster, the woodblock, and the whole area was like dead. There was no retail stores around anymore.
At one point, there was plastic coverings on the windows of the woodblock.
Wow.
And they were actually, the city council was talking about that. If they don't hurry up and do something, it was, what was happening is people drive through town and there's this plastic blowing out of the windows, and it looks so bad. What an image for the city in the center, the hallmark of the city. And the centerpiece of the city, and the city council was getting nervous at the time, and the mayor, and I just remember them saying, Oscar Kress or whoever the guy was that owned it, if he doesn't hurry up and do something with it, we're going to try to move to tear it down. And they really couldn't, because it wasn't in bad shape, because structurally it was, but it looked so terrible. And so, a guy like Peter Bovenzi comes along later on and restores it a little at a time. Yeah. And the place is, you take a picture of it today, and it looks like it did 100 years ago.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
The Renaissance is coming, and there's more and more local businesses opening. You'll hear it first up at King's Corner. We call it King's Corner. There's a nut and chocolate store that's going to open. They have one in downtown Concord right now. It's owned by the guy that owns the strip mall up there. He's the former owner of Bertucci's.
Oh.
And so you heard that first here, Mike. See? Nobody else knows this stuff.
All right.
You're hearing it first. That's why you've got to watch
That's
LTV.
exciting.
So yes, someday we'll do a segment on this. We've also talked to the Sentinel Enterprise about doing little small segments, and one of them will be on history, and another one we hope is an idea that we've floated is one on sort of, what is this spirit of entrepreneurship that is still alive and well here in the city, and filling up every available space. And I was talking to Nikki and Melissa the other day, and they were saying, we're having a hard time finding space, matching space up with people's, new business endeavors. So, some pretty exciting things going. Carl, you have time to come on, Carl? Let's see. We wanted to talk, Carl, if you have a second. Carl's uncle was a musician. I've got a chance to meet him a couple times, and one under the name of Pierre Marini. And he was a professional musician. And there you are, Carl. This is the best way to come on.
Yeah, it'll be easy for me.
So your uncle was how old?
He was 92.
And he was still playing, right?
Up until last year.
Up until last year.
He was still playing, yep.
And you got a clip here, because he does have that Pierre Marini look.
Yes, he does. Whatever that is, he has it.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Go ahead, shoot. Yeah.
He does, yeah. I have a small clip if you want to watch here.
Look at, he looks just like your brother Steve. He looks just like him. Tremendous,
yes.
huh?
No kidding.
Wow. Amazing, huh? Did he and your father ever play together?
Yeah, a few times.
Did
Yeah,
they?
He would. My father would play accordion, and he
Yeah,
would play
right, right.
piano. Yeah, yeah.
You got any clips of that?
No, unfortunately,
Oh,
I don't.
that's
Nothing like that.
see, that's magic stuff. That's why it's so important what you're doing here,
Right.
that that somebody took the time to save this, and then somehow or another they've made it. You know, they've realized how important it is to hand it to people like yourselves to keep these memories alive. This is important stuff.
Yeah,
So,
musicians of Leominster.
Oh, and just
So
everything
many.
of Leominster. This stuff is so interesting.
And Sunday, I had the privilege of filming the library. She was
Right, another event
Katie
over
was
there.
over there doing the harp and the piano and doing poetry in between her performance. And I was doing 2 cameras, and I'm going to split the video, and it's going to be really awesome when I get it done.
Well, thank you all for what you do. I can't wait for this to start. I love the videos he puts up on Facebook.
Yep.
It's interesting. You can never get enough. There's so many stories here, right? The city is made up of stories, right?
One additional article I wanted to make mention is with this calendar, I think what Ron is giving us right now is the first edition, and I'm working on the second edition.
Oh boy.
So we're adding more and more
course you are.
information on 365 days a
Right.
year. So we're getting now at least 700 events that's happened in Leominster. And then I'll be starting the third wave, or the third edition, probably in May.
Just
So-
tremendous.
Just so much to work
amazing.
with.
So
Show
much
what you have
to-
so much, and you finally found a way of distributing it, right? Getting it out into people's hands. I mean, you could do 2 or 3 hour segments, but people have to come and go. This way, they're getting it little bites, and you can actually think about it, right? Well, thank you.
Well, thank you for
This is
having
great.
us.
We can't wait to
Thank
see
you.
it. Thank you to the whole crew at LTV here. We had Rick from Blue Frog here as the guest tonight with his kid and friend, and they hope to be doing some volunteer work here. We're out of time here. Good night. God bless you. Remember, the world is run by those who show up. You need to show up. Good night.